first place. After all, they never consented to genetic testing. And it goes on and says, it's simple. The pediatrician answered, newborn babies in the United States are routinely screened for a panel of genetic diseases. Since the testing is mandated by the government, it's often done without the parents' consent, according to Brad Therrell, director of the National Newborn Screening and Genetics Resource Center. It says in many states, such as Florida, where Isabel was born, baby's DNA is stored indefinitely, according to the Resource Center. It says many parents don't realize their baby's DNA is being stored in a government lab, but sometimes when they find out, as the Browns did, they take action. Parents in Texas and Minnesota have filed lawsuits, and these parents' concerns are sparking a new debate about whether it's appropriate for a baby's genetic blueprint to be in the government's possession. And it kind of makes me laugh, but it's not really, humorous. But oh, the debate's coming up, and it's like, well, they already passed the bill, and most people don't even know about this. And I believe it was called the Newborn Screening Saves Lives Act of 2007. And so.
Yeah, and what really cracks me up is first they announced that every newborn child in the country is going to have their DNA put into a database, and they try to localize it by bringing Texas up. And people having the short-term memory loss that they have in this country, and their selfish attitude, well, if it doesn't affect me personally, then I'm not concerned about it. You can see the method behind all this madness. And, all you got to do is do a little bit of research and see exactly what that can be done with that DNA. This is far more dangerous than people want to admit to themselves. Their big excuse is, oh, well, it helps prevent crime in the future. It's like, in essence, what you're telling us is that every living human being has the tendency to become a criminal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was just what we were talking about criminalizing everybody, everything, and presuming you guilty, and then you have to prove your innocence.
It's bad enough with all the laws on the books they have today that every man, woman, and child in this country, in essence, is some form of criminal or another, but they're going to take it to the next level.
Yeah, and you were saying, what this is going towards, and in this article that I had, it's a CNN article. It says genetic testing for newborns started in the 1960s with testing for diseases and conditions that, if undetected, could kill a child or cause severe problems. It says, and of course, it goes on to promote it, saying that's helped save countless newborns. And so there are things that you can do as far as taking action, but it's going to be hard because, even if you do that, you got to try to ask them to give that DNA back. And let me finish this right here where it says here. And it says, in some states, including Minnesota and Texas, the states are required to destroy a baby's DNA sample if a parent requests it. Parents who want their baby's DNA destroyed are asked to fill out this form that they have here in Minnesota and in Texas. Parents in other states have less recourse, says Therrell, who runs the genetic testing group. Quote, you'd probably have to write a letter to the state saying, please destroy my sample. But he adds, however, that is not clear whether a state would necessarily obey your wishes. Quote, I suspect it would be very difficult to get those states to destroy your baby's sample. So it's pretty scary.
Yeah, the real crack of it is, it's like, how do you know, even if they agree that they're going to destroy it, that they're going to destroy it?
Yeah. And I mean, at that point, why would you...
We're not afforded the luxury to go and witness this kind of stuff. We can't even see this man's birth certificate that's in power in this country. Do you think they're going to let us go see if they destroy our child's DNA?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, we destroyed it, wink, wink. Suckers. That's what they're saying.
But, it gets even crazier. Every time you turn around, it's like, where do we live? Do we live in Mars or something like that? People are just getting blatantly out and out insane in this country. It's okay. This is all basically connected with the privacy, but we'll go into a survey. again, where is this at? Southern California, in a Ventura High School, I think it is,
Hmm.
where they're asking students to fill out a survey on sex with questions such as, "Are you sexually active? And if not, why not?"
Why not?
I mean, really? How insane is this world getting? How much of this crap are people really going to tolerate?
Well, obviously, they're tolerating it a good bit. You know, half of them, like you said, they're camels or I say ostriches or whatever, with their heads buried in the sand, and they got to pull their heads out because, you know, there's just all kinds of stuff that's going on. And, you know, like we said, when we were saying it's going to be too late. And this is a perfect example with this mother here. You know, it's like, like, well, how did you get the DNA in the first place, you know?
Yeah,
And
I'd like to
then
know
you
when
got
they're
to
going to.
fight with the states to get it back, to get it destroyed.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. But I'd like to know, when are they going to come out with a vaccine for the ostrich syndrome? They got vaccines for birds and pigs. I mean, what's the matter with bringing an ostrich into the mix here?
Oh man, if it gets to that point, I don't know.
There is no cure for stupidity, Darko. That's the reality of it. Once you got the ostrich syndrome, you're labeled an idiot. That's all that's to it. And there is no cure for stupidity.
I would think you know, you'd be considered the sane person. The person who has their head out of the sand is considered the insane person.
Well, that's how society has twisted everything around now. What's wrong is right. What's black is white. You know, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. What's good is evil. It's really sick and distorted.
Well, what about what I said? The insane is becoming the normal, and what we know as normal is becoming the insane.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you know, you can refer to them as our global masters. That's what they like, man. This is what they've been working on for generations. Social engineering is what it's called.
And what does social engineering bring around? And what is their motto when you stop and think about it? All you get out of social engineering is chaos. Nobody knows which end is up anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it boils down to. And out of chaos comes order. And that's what they're looking for. Their kind of order. It's the old Hegelian principle. You create a problem, you raise panic and hysteria, and you implement your own solution to it.
Exactly. It's pretty crazy, this whole DNA at birth, you know, and that's how it works, right? Patrick, is, you know, they're going to come out and tell us that they're doing this and make it legal, but you know, when they usually do that, you know, it unofficially implies that they've been doing it already. They're just letting you in on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a
Yeah,
little
that's the
game
funny
they play.
thing, because it's already been done by the time it hits the news.
Mm-hmm.
The decision's already made. I mean, it's just like once Bam Bam got into power, the first thing almost out of his mouth was health care. The reality of it is, it's already done. They're going to ram it down our throats whether we like it or not. Everything that they basically do within Congress today, it's rammed down our throats.
Yeah, they're actually planning. They're writing bills for 2020. You know, everything that we're debating now, you know, was already wrote up in 10 years ago. If not
Look
longer.
at the Patriot Act. How long did it take for after 9/11 for them to come out? What was it, a 2,000-page document? Nobody's going to write 2,000 pages in 2 weeks' time. It had to have been there waiting in the wings.
Oh. Like the 1,000, 2,000 page healthcare bill. So yeah,
Same case in point.
that's how they operate. And if they're not passing it on a holiday or a weekend, they'll give the representatives, our representatives, maybe an hour if they beg and plead on their knees to be able to read it. So.
Yeah.
So,
all right, gentlemen, I think I about frustrated myself to sleep. And
all right, there we go.
I have to call it an evening.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us on Skype as well. This has been a special live edition